I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. That's what people don't understand. I was just trying to help him improve as a boyfriend, trying to communicate clearly about what I needed in the relationship, trying to show him concrete examples of how a man should treat his girlfriend properly and make her feel valued and special and appreciated. When I told him he needed to take lessons from my ex about how to treat me right, I was being constructive. I was giving him a specific roadmap for improvement with real examples. I thought he'd appreciate the specific feedback instead of me just complaining vaguely about what was wrong with our relationship without giving him actionable steps. And honestly, my ex did treat me really well in certain important ways. He was romantic, attentive, spontaneous, thoughtful, generous with his time and affection. Those are all things my current boyfriend could learn from. I wasn't trying to make him feel bad. I was trying to help him be better for me and our relationship so we could both be happier. She shifts uncomfortably, defensive. Everyone keeps telling me I crossed a major line, that what I said was disrespectful and hurtful and completely inappropriate, that I deserved what happened. But they don't understand the full context. They don't know I was just trying to improve our relationship by giving concrete examples of what I needed from a partner to feel fulfilled. I was being honest about what I needed from a partner. And somehow I'm the villain because he couldn't handle constructive feedback about areas where he could improve to be a better boyfriend. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm always curious where viewers are joining from. Let me explain what actually happened so you understand why this situation is way more complicated than everyone makes it seem. My name is Jessica. I was in a relationship with my boyfriend Kyle for about a year and a half. Was in a relationship, past tense, because everything fell apart completely 3 weeks ago over what I genuinely thought was just helpful, constructive feedback about our relationship dynamics. Kyle is a decent guy in most ways. He works in IT doing network security for a mid-sized company downtown, making around $75,000 a year base salary, plus bonuses that sometimes push him over $85,000, depending on company performance. Stable, reliable, consistent, predictable, safe, dependable, responsible, trustworthy. We had what I thought was a solid relationship on the surface, living together for about 4 months in his 2-bedroom apartment in a nice building downtown with parking, talking about future plans like maybe getting engaged eventually, within the next year or so if things continued going well. Doing normal couple things together like any relationship. Going to work, coming home, cooking dinner together, watching TV, going to bed. Repeat. Very stable, very predictable, very boring if I'm being completely honest about it. But Kyle wasn't very romantic at all. He didn't plan elaborate dates or surprises ever. He didn't surprise me with flowers or gifts for no reason just because. He didn't sweep me off my feet with spontaneous romantic gestures that made me feel special. He was practical and straightforward and logical, but not particularly exciting or passionate about romance at all. Everything with Kyle was planned, predictable, safe. There was no spontaneity, no excitement, no romance, no passion. My ex-boyfriend, Marcus, was the complete opposite in every way imaginable. Marcus was incredibly romantic naturally, without even trying hard or thinking about it. He'd plan surprise weekend trips to the beach or mountains spontaneously on a Friday afternoon when I thought we were just going to stay home. He'd show up at my work with flowers for absolutely no reason at all, just because he was thinking of me and wanted to make me smile. He'd write me little handwritten notes and leave them in my car or purse to find throughout the day with sweet messages. He'd plan elaborate dates with multiple stops and surprises throughout the evening that felt like an adventure and made me feel like the most important person in the world. Being with Marcus felt like being in a romantic comedy movie sometimes, with how sweet and thoughtful and creative he was, with showing his love and affection. Marcus and I dated for 2 full years before breaking up about 6 months before I met Kyle through mutual friends at a party. We broke up because Marcus got an amazing job offer in another state across the country, and neither of us wanted to do long-distance relationships at that point in our lives. It was amicable. We both cried. We both knew it was the right decision for both of our careers. But it still hurt deeply, and I missed him for months. But I'd always remembered fondly how Marcus treated me during our relationship. How special he made me feel constantly every single day we were together. How romanced and appreciated and valued and cherished I felt in every moment we spent together. How he made ordinary moments feel extraordinary just by the way he showed up for me and prioritized making me happy. Kyle wasn't like that at all in any way. Kyle was dependable and reliable, but boring and predictable and safe. Practical and logical, but completely unromantic and uninspiring. Good in some basic fundamental ways, but not exciting in any way whatsoever. Being with Kyle felt safe but dull, comfortable but unstimulating, stable but lifeless and routine. I started mentioning Marcus to Kyle occasionally early in our relationship within the first few months of dating, comparing things casually, pointing out ways Marcus had treated me that Kyle didn't do. At first it was subtle, little comments here and there, but it escalated over time as I got more frustrated with Kyle's lack of romance. Marcus used to surprise me with flowers all the time for no reason at all, I'd say casually, when we passed a flower shop on the street during a walk through the neighborhood. Marcus always planned the most romantic creative dates with multiple surprises throughout the evening. I'd mention when Kyle suggested we order takeout and watch TV again, like we did every single weekend, without fail or variation. Marcus made me feel so special and appreciated every single day we were together. I'd sigh wistfully when Kyle forgot our 6-month anniversary completely without even realizing the date had passed until I brought it up. Kyle would get noticeably quiet when I brought up Marcus and his romantic gestures. His face would do this thing where his jaw would tighten visibly and his eyes would look away from me. But he never said anything directly about it bothering him or asked me to stop bringing up my ex. So I kept doing it, assuming he didn't mind, or that maybe he was actually taking notes about how to improve as a boyfriend. Then about a month ago, things started escalating significantly between us in terms of my comparisons becoming more frequent and more pointed. It was a Friday night after a long work week. Kyle came home from work tired and exhausted after working late on a difficult project. He suggested we order pizza and watch Netflix like we did most Friday nights without fail. I was disappointed immediately. That's exactly what we did last Friday night and the Friday before that, and pretty much every Friday for months now. I'm tired from working late all week on this project that's been stressing me out. I don't feel like going out tonight or planning anything elaborate that requires energy. Marcus would have planned something special and romantic for Friday night, even if he was tired from work. He understood that romance requires effort and doesn't just happen automatically. Kyle looked at me with clear frustration showing on his face. "Can you not bring up Marcus right now, please?" I'm just saying he knew how to make me feel special and prioritized, even when he was tired from working long hours. He made me a priority no matter what. And I don't make you feel special ever. Not really. You're pretty boring, honestly, compared to how he treated me when we were together. Everything with you is the same routine. Order food, watch TV, go to bed. Repeat endlessly. I work hard all week at a demanding job that drains me mentally. I'm exhausted on Friday nights. I don't have energy for elaborate date planning that requires creativity and effort. Marcus worked hard too at his demanding job, but he still made effort for me and our relationship consistently without making excuses. He understood that relationships need excitement and romance to thrive and not become stale. Then maybe you should have stayed with Marcus instead of dating me if he was so perfect at everything. Maybe I should have, At least he knew how to treat a woman right and keep things exciting instead of letting everything become routine and boring. Kyle went completely quiet, ordered pizza without even asking what toppings I wanted or if I even wanted pizza. We ate in complete uncomfortable silence, staring at our phones, not talking to each other at all for the entire meal. But I kept bringing up Marcus constantly over the following weeks without stopping at all. Every single time Kyle did something that disappointed me in any way, I'd compare it negatively to how Marcus would have handled the same situation differently and better. It became almost reflexive, automatic. Kyle would do something, and immediately I'd think about how Marcus would have done it better, and I'd say it out loud. When Kyle got me a generic, boring $50 gift card to a department store for my birthday, I mentioned extensively and in detail how Marcus always got me thoughtful, personalized gifts that showed he really knew me deeply and cared about my interests and paid attention to things I mentioned wanting throughout the year. When Kyle wanted to stay in on a beautiful Saturday afternoon because he wanted to watch sports on TV, I talked at length about how Marcus always wanted to go out and do fun, exciting, adventurous activities together on weekends, like hiking or going to festivals or exploring new neighborhoods we'd never been to before. When Kyle didn't compliment my new outfit, I'd spent 2 hours carefully picking out and getting ready in. I mentioned how Marcus always noticed immediately when I looked nice and complimented me enthusiastically and made me feel beautiful and appreciated. When Kyle suggested a casual dinner at a chain restaurant for date night, I talked about how Marcus would take me to unique, interesting restaurants with amazing ambiance that he'd researched specifically because he thought I'd love them and wanted to impress me. When Kyle forgot to pick up my favorite ice cream at the store, even though I'd texted him a reminder earlier in the day, I mentioned how Marcus always remembered little details about what I liked without needing reminders because he paid attention to everything I said. When Kyle fell asleep early on a Saturday night at 9 p.m., I talked about how Marcus and I would stay up late talking for hours about everything and nothing because he valued quality time with me and didn't want to waste our precious moments together sleeping. When Kyle didn't plan anything special for our monthly anniversary, I mentioned how Marcus would always do something special every month to celebrate us being together because he valued our relationship. Kyle started getting visibly more frustrated each time I brought Marcus up. "Can you please stop comparing me to your ex constantly? It's getting really old. I'm just pointing out specific areas where you could improve as a boyfriend. I'm trying to help you be better." By constantly telling me how much better he was than me at everything romantic, how is that helping? He was objectively better at romantic gestures and making me feel special and valued. That's just factual observation, not an attack on you. Then why don't you just date him again if he was so perfect at everything? I would if he still lived here, honestly. He was better at this relationship stuff than you are. He just got it naturally without having to be told. That comment clearly hurt Kyle deeply. I saw real pain flash across his face visibly. His whole body seemed to deflate like I'd physically struck him. But I didn't apologize or take it back at all. I felt like I was just being honest about my needs and expectations for what a boyfriend should be. I kept escalating my comparisons over the next few weeks. It became almost automatic, like a reflex I couldn't control, even if I wanted to. When we went grocery shopping, and Kyle didn't help me pick out produce or engage with the task, I mentioned how Marcus always made grocery shopping fun and helped me with everything and turned even mundane tasks into quality time together where we'd laugh and joke around. When Kyle fell asleep during a movie we were watching together on the couch, I talked about how Marcus always stayed awake and engaged even during boring movies because he valued spending time with me and didn't want to waste our moments together by sleeping through them. When Kyle's gift for Valentine's Day was just chocolates and a generic card from the drugstore that he probably picked up the day before, I spent 20 minutes describing in detail the elaborate scavenger hunt Marcus had planned for me one Valentine's Day that took me all over the city and ended with a romantic picnic he'd set up in the park with all my favorite foods. When Kyle suggested we skip date night one week because he was tired from work, I brought up how Marcus never skipped date night because he understood that consistent quality time was important for maintaining romance in a relationship and keeping the spark alive. When Kyle didn't remember the name of my best friend, even though I'd mentioned her multiple times, I talked about how Marcus remembered everyone important to me and would ask about them regularly because he cared about my life. Kyle stopped responding when I brought up Marcus. He'd just go completely quiet and withdraw into himself emotionally. His face would go blank. He'd stop making eye contact with me. "Why do you shut down when I'm trying to help you improve?" I'd ask him. "I'm not shutting down. I just don't know what to say anymore to any of this." "You could say you'll try harder to be more like Marcus in the ways that matter to me." "I can't be Marcus. I'm me. I'm just Kyle, and apparently that's not good enough." "That's the problem. You need to be more like him in the ways that matter for a romantic relationship if you want to keep me happy." I started comparing even smaller things that probably didn't matter, but bothered me anyway. The way Marcus would text me good morning every single day without fail, versus Kyle forgetting to text me at all most days. The way Marcus would plan our weekends in advance, with thoughtful activities, versus Kyle asking me last minute what I wanted to do. The way Marcus would compliment my cooking enthusiastically and ask for seconds, versus Kyle just eating silently without comment or appreciation. My friend Ashley started noticing the pattern when we'd hang out for coffee or lunch. "You talk about Marcus a lot when you talk about Kyle." I'm just giving Kyle examples of how a good boyfriend acts so he can improve and be better for me. "But you're with Kyle now, not Marcus. That seems unfair to Kyle to constantly compare him." "Kyle needs to learn from Marcus's example if he wants to keep me happy in this relationship." "That seems really harsh, though. You're basically telling him he's not good enough constantly." "He's not good enough in certain important areas. I'm being honest about my needs and expectations." Ashley looked uncomfortable but didn't push it further, probably not wanting to start an argument with me. Looking back now, I can see that I was obsessed with comparing them. Every little thing Kyle did or didn't do became fodder for comparison to Marcus. I started keeping a mental list of all the ways Kyle fell short of Marcus. It was exhausting, but I couldn't stop myself from doing it. Then, 3 weeks ago, we had a huge explosive fight that ended everything permanently and irrevocably. We were supposed to go to dinner for our 1-year anniversary, which was supposed to be a milestone worth celebrating properly. Kyle made a reservation at a nice upscale restaurant downtown that I'd mentioned wanting to try for months, but when we got there, all dressed up nicely in our best clothes, the restaurant had no record of our reservation at all. Kyle had somehow mixed up the date on his calendar, or written it down wrong or something. We ended up at a chain restaurant instead, because everywhere else nice was fully booked on a Saturday night, and we couldn't get in anywhere without a reservation. I was absolutely furious about the situation. This is supposed to be our 1-year anniversary dinner. This was supposed to be special and memorable. "I'm so sorry. I mixed up the date somehow on my calendar. I don't know how that happened. I thought I had it right." Marcus never would have messed up something this important to me and our relationship. He would have confirmed the reservation twice and made sure everything was perfect. "Can you please stop bringing up Marcus for once in your life? I'm just saying, he was so much better at this kind of stuff than you are. He never would have ruined our anniversary like this with careless mistakes." "Better at what specifically? Being romantic and planning things?" "Yes, exactly. Better at making me feel special and valued as his girlfriend. Better at planning things that matter to me. Better at treating me the way I deserve to be treated in a relationship. Better at putting in effort and caring about details." Kyle stared at me across the table at the mediocre chain restaurant with cheap decor and families with screaming children everywhere. "You really think I need to be more like Marcus?" "Yes, honestly. I've been telling you that for months now. I've been very clear about this from the beginning. You think I need to take lessons from your ex about how to treat you properly? Honestly, yes, absolutely. You could learn so much from him about how to treat a girlfriend properly and make her feel valued and appreciated and special and prioritized. He just understood what women need in a way you don't seem to understand. Kyle nodded slowly while processing what I said. Then he pulled out his phone from his pocket deliberately and started typing something. What are you doing right now? Texting Marcus right now. What? Why would you do that? Why would you text my ex? You said I need lessons from him about treating you right, so I'm arranging exactly that for you. Kyle, don't be ridiculous. He held up his hand to stop me from talking. No, you're absolutely right about everything you've been saying for months. I clearly don't know how to treat you properly, so I'm going to send you to someone who does know how to treat you the way you deserve. You're texting my ex-boyfriend right now? Are you serious? You've been telling me for months how much better he is than me at everything that matters. How he knows how to treat you right. How I need to learn from his example. So go ahead. Go be with someone who actually treats you how you claim you deserve to be treated. I didn't mean I wanted to leave you and go back to Marcus. But you want me to be him. And I can't be him. I'll never be Marcus. So why waste both our time pretending this works when I'm never going to be good enough for you? Kyle paid for our disappointing anniversary dinner with cash he pulled from his wallet. We drove home in complete tense silence for the entire 20-minute drive back to his apartment. The silence was heavy, oppressive, suffocating. I could feel his anger radiating off him, but he said nothing at all. When we got back to the apartment, he immediately started packing my things into cardboard boxes he must have saved from when I moved in months ago. What are you doing? Helping you move out tonight. You clearly want to be with Marcus, or someone exactly like Marcus. I'm not that person, and I never will be that person no matter how hard I try or what I do. You're breaking up with me over this? I'm sending you to your ex like you've been asking me to do for months with all your comparisons and criticisms and complaints. I never asked to get back with Marcus. You compared me to him every single day unfavorably. You told me repeatedly I need to learn from him. You said over and over he treated you better than I do. You made it crystal clear I'm not enough for you and never will be, no matter what I do. I was just trying to help you improve as a boyfriend. By telling me I'm worse than your ex at everything that matters to you. That's not helping me improve. That's disrespecting me constantly and destroying my confidence and self-esteem. I didn't mean it that way. How did you mean it then? Explain it to me clearly, because I don't understand how constantly telling me I'm not as good as your ex is supposed to be helpful. I couldn't answer that question honestly without admitting what I was really doing. Kyle continued packing my things methodically into boxes. He was being careful with my stuff, not throwing things around even though he was clearly furious. That somehow made it worse. I actually did text Marcus just now. What did you say to him? I told him you need someone who knows how to treat you right. I told him you're single and available if he's interested in getting back together with you. You didn't actually do that. You're bluffing to make a point. I did exactly that. I sent you to him exactly like you kept suggesting I should do by constantly comparing me to him and telling me to learn from him. What did he say back? He said he's not interested in getting back together with you at all. He said you compared him to other guys constantly when you were together too. He said that's probably why you're perpetually single now and can't maintain relationships. That stung badly. The words hit me like a physical blow to my chest, but I tried to defend myself. I wasn't comparing him to anyone when we were together. He said you did the exact same thing to him that you did to me, always talking about how your ex before him was better at certain specific things, always making him feel inadequate no matter what he did for you. That's not true. Is it though? Or do you do this destructive pattern with everyone you date? Maybe this is why Marcus really left. Maybe this is why you're alone. Maybe you sabotage every relationship by living in the past and comparing everyone to an idealized memory. I didn't have a good answer to that question either, because deep down I knew he might be right about my pattern. Kyle finished packing my things into boxes efficiently and neatly. You need to be completely moved out by tomorrow evening. I'm staying at my brother's place tonight and tomorrow, so I don't have to see you or deal with this. We can work through this if we just talk about it. No, we can't, because you don't actually want me for who I am. You want some impossible ideal version that's part me, part Marcus, part whoever else you're constantly comparing me to in your head. I love you. You love the idea of someone better than me, and I'm completely done being told every single day that I'm not enough no matter what I do or how hard I try. He grabbed his keys and wallet and overnight bag and left without another word. I sat there surrounded by packed boxes, not understanding how it had all gone so wrong so fast. The next day, I moved all my things out of his apartment with help from Ashley, who came with her car to help me transport everything. I'm staying with her now, sleeping on her couch, trying to process what happened and how I got here. And I'm slowly starting to realize that maybe I was being deeply disrespectful to Kyle. Maybe constantly comparing Kyle to Marcus was fundamentally wrong and hurtful. Maybe telling him to take lessons from my ex was crossing a major line that should never be crossed in a relationship. My friends are split on whether Kyle overreacted to the situation or if I got exactly what I deserved. My best friend Ashley thinks he was too sensitive about it. You were just being honest about what you needed from the relationship. Communication is important in relationships. My other friend Morgan thinks I got exactly what I deserved. You constantly told your boyfriend your ex was better at everything. What did you possibly expect to happen? He's not a doormat who's going to take that forever. I started seeing a therapist to process the breakup and my patterns. She asks hard, probing questions every session that make me uncomfortable. Why did you compare Kyle to Marcus so often? Because Marcus was objectively better at romantic things. But Kyle had other important qualities that mattered too. Why focus only on what Marcus did better instead of appreciating what Kyle brought to the relationship? Because I wanted Kyle to improve in those specific areas that mattered to me for feeling loved. Or because you weren't over Marcus and were using comparisons as a way to punish Kyle for not being him. I don't want to admit she might be right about that assessment. My therapist continues pressing me with difficult questions. It sounds like you were using Marcus as a weapon against Kyle, making Kyle feel inadequate and less than by constantly bringing up your ex who did everything better. I was trying to help him be better for me. By telling him repeatedly he's worse than your ex at everything romantic, that's not helpful. That's deliberately hurtful and destructive to someone's self-esteem and confidence. She's right. I know she's right deep down, even though I don't want to admit it out loud. Over the following weeks, I started to see the full picture of what I'd done to Kyle and our relationship. I saw Kyle 2 weeks ago at a mutual friend's birthday party I didn't know he'd be attending. He was there with someone new, a woman I didn't recognize at all. They looked comfortable and genuinely happy together, laughing and touching casually. I tried to approach him to talk privately. The woman stepped closer to him protectively when she saw me coming toward them. "Hey, Kyle," I said awkwardly, not knowing what else to say. "Hey, Jessica." He was polite but extremely cold and distant, like talking to a stranger he barely knew. "Can we talk privately for a minute?" "I don't think that's a good idea at all. I want to apologize properly for everything I did. You can apologize right now. I'm listening." With his new girlfriend standing right there next to him listening to everything, I felt uncomfortable and exposed. "I'm sorry for comparing you to Marcus constantly. I was wrong to do that to you." "Okay. Thanks for the apology. Noted. Can we maybe talk alone without her here?" "No. I've moved on completely from you and what we had. You should too." His new girlfriend smiled at me warmly, not meanly or gloating, just confidently and kindly, like she knew she had something valuable I'd lost through my own actions and choices. They walked away together, hand in hand. I stood there feeling like garbage. I ran into Kyle's sister Emma at the grocery store last week while shopping for basics at the store near Ashley's apartment. "How's Kyle doing?" I asked her tentatively. "Really good. Much happier now than he was with you, honestly." "That's good, I guess. He's dating someone who appreciates him for exactly who he is, instead of constantly comparing him to her ex and making him feel inadequate every day. I didn't mean to make him feel bad about himself, but you did make him feel terrible about himself. You told him constantly he wasn't as good as Marcus. How did you think that would make him feel about himself and your relationship? Even his family clearly saw what I did wrong and how badly I hurt him. My mum called me after hearing about the breakup from my sister, who I'd confided in about everything. "What happened with you and Kyle? I thought things were going well between you two." I explained everything, about comparing him to Marcus constantly, about the anniversary dinner fight and everything that followed after. "Jessica, why would you constantly bring up your ex to your boyfriend like that?" "I was trying to help him improve as a partner. That's not how you help someone improve. You destroyed his confidence and self-esteem completely by constantly telling him he wasn't good enough compared to someone else. He should have tried harder to be romantic like Marcus was. He was trying his best. He just wasn't Marcus. And you couldn't accept him for who he actually was. You wanted him to be someone else entirely. Even my own mother thinks I'm completely wrong about this entire situation. I said he needs lessons from my ex to treat me right. He sent me to him right away without hesitation. And now I'm alone, wondering if I destroyed something genuinely good because I couldn't stop comparing it to something old that I'd idealized in my memory.